This is the I Read Comic Books podcast. I am your magical host of the day, Kara Szymborski, and this week I'm joined by two baddies with the sickest leather jackets you've ever seen in your life, Kait Scotchless.
Hello.
And Brian Murray.
I'm the trash boy.
I'm so excited that you guys are on my dream team today. I dreamed up this show topic, and I'm not going to lie. Part of the reason I dreamed this up is because I knew that Brian would have things to say about it. And I am delighted that Kait Scotchless was available to join us, since she's got some things to add on the other half. But what am I even talking about? What are we talking about here? This show is a show where we share our love of comic books with the world. And today we have a topic episode, and the topic is magical girls and trash boys. And you're probably wondering, Kara, that's pretty rude towards men. That's half the population. But I have a point. I promise. This is not all men. This is a specific subset of male fictional characters who are trash. So I'm going to start off with some context setting. And we're going to talk about magical girls and trash boys in comic books. So I'm going to start with magical girls, since that one is actually a trope and not something I sort of made up. So this is a common trope, especially in manga. And you would be most, as a listener of this show, you would probably be most aware of this trope through the Sailor Moon franchise. Sailor Moon is a typical magical girl genre. It's generally like a younger girl who has magic powers. Generally, there's a transformation costume for fighting evil. A lot of magical accessories are involved. It's usually hyper feminine and a lot of stuff going on. So some examples would be Cardcaptor Sakura or Tokyo Mew Mew. But there have been like these properties. These IPs have had a lot of influence over comic books beyond Japan, a lot of more modern Western interpretations. So I wanted to talk about magical girls in comics. What do you think of when I say magical girls in comics? What are some examples? Who are your favorites? Kait Scotchless, I know you have much to say on this topic.
Well, so first of all, I am not a manga or anime person. So I come at this solidly from comic book land and to a lesser extent novels. But to me, that there's like magical girls all over middle grade and YA comics especially. And so I read one of those for today, although it's sort of a twist on it. So the book We Could Be Magic by Marissa Myers is about a girl who's like in love with the magical girl trope. Specifically, she has like a favorite pseudo Disney princess. Like it's summer, they do the legally distinct, but it's supposed to be Disney. And she like her life dream is to be that character actress for her at the theme park. And so it's about her like being in love with this idea and wanting to embody it to the biggest extent possible, and having that denied to her because of her weight. And so that was kind of a fun twist for me. And then the other one I read for this was Supergirl, which is like so obvious, but I think they're kind of a cool dichotomy in that they're both about this like magical girl idea. But one is very like YA magical girl and light and happy, and the other is like grimdark superhero of like, look how traumatized the magical girl is.
Oh, that is so interesting, because I would not think of Supergirl as a magical girl because she doesn't have accessories.
She has a magic flying horse. Come on,
that's not an accessory. That is just standard fare, Kait.
She does have a cape though.
Yeah.
But does she have a magical transformation sequence to get into that cape?
See, I didn't know that was required. I don't
think it's necessarily required, but that's why I thought, we could argue for Wonder Woman, because in the Linda Carter 70s TV show, which is, comics inspired, but not the comics. She does a little like spinny thing, and she has magical accessories. She has the lasso of truth. She has her tiara. She sometimes has a shield. Yeah. She's got the bracelets.
Yep, it's true. She's got all the stuff. But hear me out. Kara has the dog, the horse, the awesomeness.
So she's a Disney princess. She's not a magical girl. They're different.
I was really glad they included Comet. I'm like, oh, look at it's beautiful.
So you're talking about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
Yes.
Ooh, I actually, fun fact, just recorded a full episode. This is me plugging here.
Cross promotion, baby.
Cross promotion. I just recorded an entire episode about this very book on the Digging for Kryptonite podcast that Anthony Desiato hosts, and he's doing like a whole like Supergirl themed miniseries right now. So I was on episode 1 talking about Woman of Tomorrow, and I definitely dug into the whole Comet thing. I was like, as a horse girl,
as a certified.
See, I let my horse girl certification lapse.
Well, see, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit niche here. So, Kait, have you read or watched any Sailor Moon?
I've existed in nerd culture. Like, I am very aware of Sailor Moon. I have not fully watched a full episode or read a full manga of it ever.
Okay. So the reason I bring this up is because there actually is so the whole like Comet thing, for those of you who are more well-versed in Supergirl, Comet is a horse who is Supergirl's like buddy / friend, but he's also a prince who has been trapped in the body of a horse and is in love with her. And there is a very similar character in Sailor Moon who is a Pegasus. And he is a prince trapped in the body of a magical flying horse with a unicorn horn, and the princess has to save him. So I will give you that for the Supergirl argument that she's a magical girl. There is a 1-to-1 Sailor Moon comparison specifically about Comet.
She's running around in a short and a cape. She's a magical girl. She's got thigh-high boots, Kara. Come on.
Okay, I will allow the thigh-high boots. In many different Supergirl costume interpretations, there are thigh-high boots. So I think what we really need then is for DC to greenlight a manga in which Supergirl is actually a magical girl with like a transformation sequence and everything. I think there's something here. There's definitely something here. They might need to give her 80s headband back though, but like turn it into a tiara, which I would not be mad about.
She does Brian get powered up by different suns, right? So that's kind of a transformation.
I guess that, but then is Superman a magical girl also? If he also, but no, we won't go down this road. Brian,
trash boy.
Brian, when I say magical girls, what comes to mind for you?
Also Sailor Moon for me. I remember watching that on Toonami when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. Before I was told that it was for girls and I couldn't watch it anymore.
Boo.
I grew up in the Midwest. We have pretty strict gender policing going on here.
That's unfortunate. Sailor Moon is for everybody.
Sailor Moon is for everybody.
Everybody with whimsy in their hearts and love in their eyes.
And a fondness for whatever Tuxedo Mask has going on.
And Supergirl is for anyone who's ever been hurt but endures.
Sailor Moon is for everyone who's ever hurt somebody.
Ooh. Sailor Moon actually came up the other day in like my personal life. I was asked, is there a Sailor Earth? And I was like, actually, interesting question. It's Tuxedo Mask. Tuxedo Mask is the guardian of Earth. He just doesn't have a tiara.
I think most of my more recent exposure has all been in things that are like parody-ish or like deconstructions of the genre, as it were. Like, you familiar with Madoka Magica?
I've heard of it, but I have not consumed any of it.
It is like it seems at first like it's just going to be a normal magical girl, transform and fight the bad guys thing, and it quickly becomes like an analysis of, aren't these magical girls just child soldiers in fancy outfits?
No.
Oh,
And wouldn't it be fucked if all the bad guys were like manifestations of the psychological horror that their lives have turned into?
oh my God. I'm like horrified and intrigued.
It's not a fun watch exactly, but it is kind of like interesting to look at. Like she's got like the little like mascot thing, and it's basically the devil. Like,
oh God.
it's trying to like coerce young girls into making a deal with it for magical girl powers.
I mean, I'd be tempted if a demon had come to me when I was 14 years old or 15 years old and asked me if I wanted like magical accessories and to have a clear delineation of fighting evil, I might take them up on it. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, same. I'm very easily influenced by mystical creatures offering power.
I'm having such a vivid flashback right now to me being in like middle school. This is like the peak of me like reading Sailor Moon manga. Of like being in middle school science class and like gazing out the window wistfully wishing some like magical raven would pop up and like give me a brooch that would allow me to like transform and everything would be sparkly and beautiful and I could like fly and have superpowers and shit.
And were you sitting in the classic anime protagonist seat in the back left corner of the classroom?
Ooh, science class, I was actually weirdly in the middle. I found it easier to hide and write my Teen Titans fan fiction in that location.
Smart. Hiding in plain sight, yeah.
When I was thinking about this trope, I was thinking, of course, there's the classic, like more 90s era manga from Japan that I mentioned, but there are some more modern explorations of the magical girl trope in Western comics. And the first one that came to mind is one that I actually read, but I read it like 10 years ago and I could not remember either the title or the author, but I remembered the visual. So I was just Googling different variations of like magical girl Western comic plaid skirt and trying really hard to not hit a weird part of the algorithm doing that.
Safe search on. Very, very on.
And I found it. It's so the series is called Misfits of Avalon. And it's by Kel McDonald, and Misfits of Avalon it's like taking the magical girl like tropes and aesthetics, but making it Arthurian legend. And yeah, and what I like about it is that like I don't know about y'all, but I really, really love when female protagonists are like mean or angry or just like shitty. Like if you give me like a shitty female protagonist who is not in any way trying to be perfect, I'm so there. This is why like I loved Paper Girls and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, be a person, have an attitude. Not everybody has to or needs to be a Disney princess or a Disney villain. There is a gray area. And it's any lady with an attitude and a damaged past. We're back to Supergirl.
We're
Kate's
back
right.
to Supergirl. She's a magical girl that has to prove it.
So Misfits of Avalon is like, if you enjoy the magical girl tropes, but you want something like a little grittier and less like sparkly, this is a good pick for you. And then something that's like, and then another series that came to mind, which is usually on like, it was like the top of every single list that I found when I was searching like magical girl comic examples. Like every friggin' list has Zodiac Star Force on there. And Zodiac Star Force is like about a magical girl team where they're all like, it's like a diverse team in terms of like gender representation and like there's a lot of variation in like body types and skin color and hair types. And they're all like, you know, from the name Zodiac Star Force, they're powers are all like based in the zodiac power. So I'm just like, I do remember reading like the first few issues of this and being like, hell yeah. Magical girls and the zodiac? Yes.
They're all connected to the Zodiac Killer in some way.
So when I was thinking about this topic, I was also like, if Kait and Brian were magical girls, what would their powers be or their special attacks? So Brian, what would your special weapon or attack be if you were a magical girl?
Yeah, it's tough because I'm not really like an accessory girly. Like I've got my wedding ring that I wear sometimes, and that's my only accessory. So I started thinking about like what else does Sailor Moon have outside of like the tiara, where she's got like this wand thing, right?
Several wands, depending on her power upgrades.
Not gonna get into that, but I figured, like, what if I had like a magic wand that doubled as like a beam sword, like a lightsaber type thing? That's how I made this about Star Wars.
Sure. Also, that is Sailor Uranus's weapon, so you're already there. You can be one of the lesbians.
Yes, I've always wanted to be one of the lesbians. So,
Kait, what would magical accessory and or special power would you have?
I could really go for a wand of healing, and a magic flying horse.
I mean, who couldn't go for the magic flying horse? There's a reason it's
since
so
Rainbow
there.
Bright, right? Like, come on.
See, then I'd have to get recertified, though.
Oh my god. I am of several minds with this for my own, because like I love a good shield, but I don't feel like the shield is a signature weapon for a magical girl. It's much more like makeup based or like jewelry based. I could definitely rock a tiara. I, in fact, would love a tiara. But I think I love the magical compact concept. And this is partially because like one of Sailor Moon's, like her first like transformation item, like one of her first ones is like a makeup compact, but instead of makeup inside of it, her like magical crystal is inside of it that like charges her powers. And I do love that, but I also, when I think magical compacts, I'm thinking about the Totally Spies TV show, because they used a lot of makeup based stuff. Like the Totally Spy show is basically magical girls, except they don't have magic powers. They just use a lot of magical girl tropes to express their like whole saving the world through like super feminine spy stuff. Although I guess that's technically not a comic book, so I digress. So I also wanted to balance out this conversation by talking about trash boys. And this is not a trope. I made this term up. I don't remember if I saw it online. I don't remember if I just like, it just became an expression because if you've been in a fandom for longer than like 3 seconds in the last 10 years, you have probably come across somebody referring to themselves as trash, like insert favorite character trash here. And I was thinking about it, and I realized that generally when people are referring to like being trash for someone, it's generally like a character that is not necessarily like a goody. And it's like you recognize that you're garbage for liking this character, right? So
yeah, a more formalized term is problematic fave.
Problematic fave, kind of like that. But I was specifically thinking, when I think of like this term trash boy came into my mind, I was specifically thinking about like those like brooding brunettes, generally in leather jackets, who are like angry but also vulnerable, but also don't have control over their emotions. This is the guy that one friend that you have that always has terrible taste in men is like, oh, he's my favorite. And you're like, no.
Girl.
Like anytime somebody thinks I can fix him, that's probably a trash boy.
Yeah, my first thought was, you heard somebody say like, this guy sucks, I love him so much, or he's the worst and he's my favorite. Like,
The number one like comic book based thought that I had about this one is Jason Todd. Jason Todd, the second Robin, is peak trash boy. Like every friend that I've ever had who's read comic books and encounters Jason Todd and has terrible taste in men likes Jason Todd. And I'm like, no, he's the worst one. What are you doing?
It's like the old you don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps. Like you don't have to have terrible taste in men to like Jason Todd, but if you have terrible taste in men, you do like Jason Todd.
Yeah, if you have a friend and Jason Todd is their favorite, I want you to give a real hard look at whichever person they're dating or have a crush on, okay? Like, that's all I'm saying. Comics adjacent, but he's in comics, so we'll allow it. Kylo Ren is a trash boy.
I
Brunette,
would hear
brooding,
me out.
wears leather. Go.
Supergirl. Is she a trash boy? I feel like you could apply that. I can fix her energy here. And the whole series is about people projecting onto her.
Kate, this is the gayest thing you've ever said.
And that is a packed field.
I mean, we could put her in the Superboy category, in the 90s Superboy category. He is a brooding brunette with a lot of vulnerability and feelings, and he wears a leather jacket. We could just give his leather jacket to Supergirl instead of her trench coat.
So here's a question for you, Kara. What's the difference between a trash boy and an edgelord?
Edgelord is Deadpool.
Yeah, edgelord is more like oh my god, who, I forget, I'm blanking on this, everyone's gonna yell at me. Who's like that kid that's Wolverine's son? Yeah, that dude. He feels a little bit more edgelordy to me. He could be on the fence, I guess, depending on the story. Edgelord, I feel like, is less like, there's no potential for romantic attraction because they're just like so garbage. Whereas there's still like a little bit of tenderness in the trash boy where you can like, you understand why your friend with questionable taste likes them. You just really wish they wouldn't like them.
You recognize that it's a bad idea.
Yeah, like, okay, so Baphomet from Wickdiv is one of these, and that's Tia's favorite character. So like, I'm absolutely throwing her under the bus here in this whole assessment. But like, you know, like Baphomet in Wicked and the Divine, he's like brunette, broody, wears a leather jacket, shows a lot of abs. He's got a lot of like big feelings about like he like before being transformed into a god, like he was super into like poetry and like dark music, and he was like super in love with the girl, and like they're in like a tortured romance. So it's like you can see the like gothic hero, or like, I guess not hero, that's a bad term, but like basically if a Bronte sister wrote about a man, that man is the template for Baphomet.
See, I was gonna say he sounds like Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Spike is the rare blonde trash boy. He's like the one blonde trash boy I can think of off the top of my head.
See, Angel is trash and a boy, but he is not a trash boy.
Yes, he's a precious cinnamon bun. I know that's a really, really reductive interpretation of the character Angel, but you know.
So I feel like in We Could Be Magic, there's no like trash boy character, like as a person character in the book, but the park, which is, you know, pseudo Disneyland theme park, is the trash boy. Because it makes every promise. It's like all sparkly and magical, delivers nothing, still magnetic, still in love with it.
Interesting. So a trash boy could be a place or like a time. Are the 90s a trash boy?
They might, maybe. The Pacific Northwest for sure.
For sure.
And I was thinking about like, I thought for a brief second, on a superficial level, you could put Batman or Darth Vader into the trash boy category, but I don't think you actually can, because they don't have that like loss of self-control and vulnerability that characterizes the trash boy. Like,
depends on the Batman writer. I feel like you can for certain Batman runs.
Do you have one off the top of your head where you're just kind of like, ooh, like this man is a tortured soul and a woman is trying to save him?
Some of the bad Batman movies. Not the woman trying to save him, though.
I could see it.
What's the one where he's running around branding people?
What?
That's one of the movies.
That's the Batfleck. It's Batman v Superman, I think, right?
Okay, but that's a super bro movie. That's not. I think more like Robert Pattinson Batman could be a trash boy because he's got the messy eyeliner and he's like broody.
Okay, I see the distinction.
So Batfleck's not
just
broody.
He's straight up shitty.
Yeah. That's what it is. He's not just terrible. Like Batman has the potential. I see what you're saying about the writing. Batman has the potential to be a trash boy if they gave him to like. I want them so badly to give Batman to a romance novelist. Like that could be so good because there's so much there. And I feel like a lot of the writers with Batman, they'll focus on like, you know, my parents are dead and I am angsty, but they won't necessarily go into the like, how does it feel to compartmentalize the fact that you're like a dad that like doesn't allow themselves to be a dad to all these little children that you keep enlisting into your crime battle. Or like, how does it feel to be so emotionally removed from all these women where you're just like, I love her, but I can't. This is the whole like Captain Reynolds thing on Firefly. Like, I love her, but I can't. So tortured. He's not a trash boy though, even though he wears a leather duster.
When I was thinking about this earlier, I was trying to think of like characters that I know are trash boys. And I realized that almost every medical drama has a trash boy.
Do they all wear leather jackets to the ER?
No, but they ride motorcycles.
Some of them do, yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy shows up in a leather jacket when we first meet him.
The motorcycle is a key accessory to the prototypical trash boy.
It's the magical horse.
I also was thinking, like, since we talked about Japanese manga for the magical girls, I was trying to think, are there any trash boys in manga? And the answer is yes. And the other answer is I don't know enough about this to say things about it, but Renee would. But I thought, top of my head, I think Light from Death Note falls into this category because, like, he's objectively terrible, but also there are a lot of people who's just like, I get it.
Yeah. It's he's definitely one of those where, like, if your friend has a crush on Light, you should be calling somebody.
And I actually do think there's an argument to be made here that Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z could fit into this category.
Late Vegeta for sure. Like Majin Buu saga Vegeta, absolutely a trash boy.
But I also think he's the rare trash boy that is actually, like, quote unquote, saved by the love of a woman. And by saved by the love of a woman, I mean Bulma is just like, get your shit together.
She domed him so hard he's a good guy now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Kait, if you were a trash boy, what kind of leather jacket would you wear?
I have no idea. Sorry, I've got nothing.
Pick a motorcycle. Accessorize your motorcycle. Are you riding a hog or a crotch rocket?
Oh, crotch rocket for sure.
Brian, how about you? How are you accessorizing as a trash boy?
I unfortunately do already own a duster. Like the Captain Reynolds cowboy coat. I got me one of those. It's not leather because I couldn't afford leather, but
listen, Brian, we do what we can. It's more about the spirit of the trash boy as opposed to, like, not all trash boys have billionaire bat money with which to buy their leather jackets and motorcycles. I don't know if I could be persuaded to have a motorcycle. I don't feel balanced enough as a human being to attempt that. But I have a leather jacket that I've had for like, easily 15 plus years now, and it's still going strong. It's beautiful and I love it. It's like a Michael Kors black leather bomber jacket with like a hood that you can zip off if you want to wear it just like without the hood. And I've worn it so often it's like molded to my body shape, and I'm just going to wear it until it disintegrates. Like if you do now we're going to talk about fashion. A leather jacket that fits you is a great investment piece because you can wear it for 20 years and it will be fine.
Just not in the rain.
Just, I mean, I've worn mine in a light drizzle and it's been fine. You're thinking of suede. Definitely never wear suede in the rain. You could not be a trash boy in a suede jacket.
It's like being a magical girl on, I don't know, not a horse. That got away from me. If you're a magical girl on a donkey, like Shrek is a magical girl. He's got a donkey. I mean, is Fiona a magical girl?
She has a transformation sequence.
And she does kick ass.
She does kick ass, but she doesn't have like a magical accessory unless you count her tiara. But her tiara doesn't have magical powers unless there's something from the sequels I'm forgetting.
Because when I was getting ready for this, I was really trying to stretch like the definition of magical girl. Like I got to like the Animorphs. Are the Animorphs magical girls? They transform for battle.
But again,
no accessories.
No accessory. I think the accessories are key. I saw in your notes you had Transformers in there. I think you could argue for the Transformers because they're like different weapons, but they're not magic based. They're like technology based.
Yeah. But don't you want to put Starscream is a magical girl somewhere on this show?
100% I do. I co-sign this idea. We're done.
Good show. Bye, guys.
Starscream is a great magical girl concept, especially in his Emperor Starscream moment where he had like a cape and a giant crown and like his eyes glow. And you know why? Okay, this is actually good. You know why Starscream is arguable into the magical girl trope? Because he's got his little girl group. He has other seekers in his like little seeker trine. He's got Thundercracker and Skywarp, and they're all like the same model of jet fighter that they transform into. So they're all like transforming in a uniform, but they all have a different color scheme and different power set.
That's very magical girl.
Yes, Starscream and the fighter jets are magical girls. It's official. We can put them in the same category as Sailor Moon. Well, I was thinking about this. This is what I want you guys to help me with. If we had to remix these concepts, what would a magical boy be like? And what would a trash girl be like? Like, do they retain the same hallmarks if you like switch their genders, or do we need to like make some tweaks?
So a magical boy, I think, is almost the same, but instead of accessories, it's all about like whatever weapon they have.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first thought like, oh, what would a magical boy be like? I was like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he's got the different cards, right?
Would the lanterns be magical girls since they do have their magical rings?
Yes.
Okay.
See,
and that's full gender diversity because it's just like whoever's got that ring, whoever's got those powers.
I can't remember what it's called. I watched an anime back in the 90s that was like Zodiac Fighters or something like that. Knights of the Zodiac. That's what it was.
Nice.
And yeah, they're all like transforming battle boys.
I would argue that Thor is a magical boy.
Yes.
He has his magic hammer he spins around to transform into his fancy uniform.
He travels via Rainbow Bridge.
This is a magical boy.
Yay.
Yeah, because he used to disguise it as a cane, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, is Loki both a magical boy and a trash boy?
Yes.
And a trash girl. I think we found the bridge between all these concepts.
Everything comes back to Loki. Just the way he would want it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like trash girls, and the number one trash girl that pops up into my mind is oh my god, this is like Brian, we talked about this like 10 years ago on our Star Wars miniseries. There's like my first introduction to Mara Jade from the Star Wars like extended universe before Disney redid the canon. Mara Jade was like the hand of the Emperor, and my first introduction to her was in a Star Wars comic book where she's like in just like head to toe skin tight leather on like a stealth assassin mission, and where she's like doing the Catwoman thing from the movie where she's like hunched over the guy on the ground with like her finger to his lips, and it's like sexy and seductive, but also you're like, girl, you're working, like you do not. Okay. Very, very Tiana Taylor's character in One Battle After Another. And so like that's the first thing I think about. I really do think the leather as an aesthetic is a big piece of the trash boy, trash girl aesthetic.
Asajj Ventress, huge trash girl.
Oh, 100%. Lot of trash in Star Wars. A lot of space trash.
That could just be the subtitle for our Star Wars miniseries, Space Trash.
Kait, any trash girls to add?
Not that I can think of. Sorry.
I mean, you already did argue for Supergirl, and I see your points.
Yeah.
And like, I know I just said like leather's a big hallmark of it, but like, I'm not actually going to put Catwoman in this category because she's had so many characterizations where she's like trying to do the right thing or just like straight up a glamorous villainess. So there's not that like angry undertone that I'm really looking for. I could argue Huntress. Huntress could be a trash girl from the Batverse. She is actually, fun fact, my favorite DC character.
Emma Frost? Huntress. Could we say Emma Frost, maybe?
100% trash girl.
Interesting, bringing in the white leather, too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, mixing it up. A rare non-brunette trash girl.
Yeah.
Is Harley Quinn a trash girl, do we think?
Ooh, I'm going to go with no. She would be more like a magical girl because she's got a girl group and accessories.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
She does have that red flag factor where if your friend is like, my favorite girl is Harley Quinn, you're like,
I have follow-up questions. Yeah. If you say that to me, I definitely have follow-up questions. If you're and then because the first thing that you would need to find out is, okay, do you like Harley Quinn with the Joker or Harley Quinn with Poison Ivy? And the answer to that question is how you judge from there.
Yeah, the Joker is not a trash boy. The Joker is just a garbage person.
Yeah.
Sounds similar, but very different idea.
Yeah. I just want to go back and read all these comics now.
I mean, this was a reread for me of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and I highly recommend. The reread value is high.
Absolutely. And if you go and reread it now, you can reread it with the critical lens of Supergirl. Magical girl, trash girl, both. Where on the Venn diagram does she fall?
Exactly. I did hear that the movie is only like very loosely based on it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm,
or fortunately, sometimes when they try and stick too close to source material, the movie doesn't ultimately work as well. So maybe this will go okay. We'll see.
Yeah, this like rereading that comic book, my overall takeaway was like, if they did this like right, they would have to let it breathe in like a mini series or something.
I think that's part of why it's like loosely based.
Yeah. And I like totally forgot that Lobo's going to be in this movie. Lobo, interestingly enough, not a trash boy, more like an edgelord, but not like a super shitty edgelord. I don't know. I put him like, yes, he would be in the same category as Deadpool in like, this is more edgelordy, but it's more like the bad stereotype of people who like those characters is more edgelordy.
Apparently, King's original pitch for Supergirl Women of Tomorrow was a team up between Supergirl and Lobo, where they take on like the same rules as Maddie Ross and Rooster Cogburn from the novel True Grit. But then Lobo was cut, but the like bones of the story basically remained.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like on paper, Lobo should be a trash boy because he is brunette, wears leather, and has a motorcycle. I feel like he's a little bit more like hyper masculine though.
Yeah.
Like trash boys generally have like a little softness to them that Lobo just simply does not have.
Yeah, King, I read a quote that I like copy pasted because it was so good. Said that using her pain to teach someone new how to deal with their own pain, that was a better story than anything I'd get out of Lobo. And I'm like, yes. So yes.
Lobo thinks he's funny. And I don't think that a trash boy can think they're funny.
They're too busy brooding.
Very good point.
I want to leave us. I want to conclude with digging into a little point that Kait said earlier in the show. Kait, you mentioned Superman in the context of our conversation. I don't think Superman necessarily falls into any of these categories. Superboy for sure. Superman, I think, is just like too sunny overall to be either.
I don't know.
And
I think
you don't know.
If
he has
we
like
go
the
back,
opposite of magical accessories where he takes off his glasses and now he's Superman.
and if we go back to the old Superman, he did used to like get into the phone booth and there was like a little like tornado in there and then he came out as Superman.
So he did have a transformation sequence, but magic is one of his vulnerabilities. So it wouldn't be like exactly a magical girl. He could be like a sci-fi girl.
Well, that's a different episode.
That's a totally different episode. I do see the point. Well, I am personally delighted that you were able to join me today and have this fabulous conversation. I want to thank Kait Lamphere for proof listening for us. I want to thank Zander for editing. I want to thank Mike for entrusting us with his show baby while he raises an actual baby. And until next time, comics are good, and so are you.